Have you ever noticed how things have a way of working themselves out? That moment when you finally let go, when you stop gripping so tightly to an outcome, and suddenly everything falls into place. Maybe you lost a job and thought it was the end, only to find an even better opportunity waiting for you. Maybe you experienced heartbreak and thought you'd never heal, but in time you grew stronger than ever before. The Stoics understood this. They knew that life moves according to its own rhythm, that the river of fate cannot be controlled, only navigated. And most of all, they knew that faith, not just in the universe, but in oneself, is one of the most powerful forces we can cultivate. The more humility you demonstrate, the more you are rewarded. This is an unspoken law of the universe. The more people boast, the less they receive. The more they grasp and clutch at control, the more problems seem to arise. Some call this karma. The Stoics called it fate. And though fate does not always give us what we want, it always gives us what we need. Even the most gracious and virtuous people encounter challenges and tragedy. Yet, those who persevere, who keep moving forward with faith and belief, always emerge stronger. Through the storm clouds, they find their way to the bright light of the sun and the clear skies above. It is important to understand that patience and faith do not mean passivity. They mean understanding that while we must act with intention, we cannot always control the results. Life has a mysterious way of revealing its gifts when we least expect them. It is often when we stop searching desperately, when we let go of the constant striving, that we find exactly what we need. Have you ever spent days or weeks looking for something you lost, only to find it when you stopped looking? Life itself operates in much the same way. When we stop gripping so tightly, we allow space for possibility. We create room for the unexpected blessings to arrive. Faith and belief. These are more powerful than we realize. Faith in the process, faith in yourself, and most importantly, faith that no matter what happens, everything will come in time. This is not just philosophy, this is a way of life. Let us begin this journey together. Chapter 1. The Nature of Fate and the Flow of Life. The Stoics had a profound understanding of fate. To them, life was like a great river. Some people fight against the current, exhausting themselves in a futile struggle to swim upstream. Others let go, trusting in the flow, adapting to the bends and rapids as they come. Which approach do you think leads to a more peaceful existence? Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." He understood that fate was not something to resist, but to embrace. When we resist the natural course of life, we create our own suffering. But when we learn to trust in the unfolding of events, we find a deeper sense of peace. Think of a time in your life when things didn't go your way, when a door closed that you desperately wanted to keep open. Maybe it was a job, a relationship, or a dream you had for yourself. You may have felt frustration, disappointment, or even despair at the time. But now, looking back, can you see how it led you somewhere even better? Can you recognize the hidden lesson, the unseen opportunity that was waiting for you on the other side? Often, the things we think we want are not what we truly need. We may cling to an idea of what we believe will make us happy, only to find that true fulfillment comes in unexpected ways. The Stoics remind us to trust the process, to have faith that life is guiding us exactly where we need to go. This trust is not passive. It is an active engagement with reality. When we accept what is, rather than fight against it, we create space for new possibilities to emerge. When we shift our focus from what we have lost to what we stand to gain, we open ourselves up to growth. Life has a way of unfolding in ways that we cannot always predict, but often in ways that ultimately serve us. So the next time something doesn't go as planned, ask yourself, what if this is a stepping stone, not a setback? What if this is life pushing me towards something greater? Have faith. Everything will come in its own time. Here are some practical examples. Practice detachment. Recognize that control is an illusion. We do not control the outcomes, only our responses. When faced with disappointment, take a deep breath and remind yourself, this is not the end, only a redirection. Gratitude. Reflection. Each night, reflect on 3 things that happened that you initially resisted, but ultimately turned out for the best. Over time, you'll see how often life is working in your favor, even when it doesn't feel like it. The Stoic pause. Before reacting to a setback, pause. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If it's not, let it go. If it is, focus on taking the best next step forward. Chapter 2. The Power of Humility. The louder a person boasts, the less they truly have. This is an eternal truth. The truly wise, the truly powerful, do not need to flaunt their achievements. They do not need validation from others because they are secure in themselves. The more humble you are, the more the world rewards you. But humility is not weakness. It is a quiet confidence, a deep-rooted strength that does not require applause. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn that which he thinks he already knows." Pride blinds us. It makes us resistant to growth. The Stoics understood that true strength comes from humility, from the willingness to learn, to be wrong, to accept life as it comes without resistance. A wise man is always a student of life. He understands that knowledge is never complete, that wisdom is a pursuit without end. Those who believe they already know everything have closed the door to discovery. Humility is a form of wisdom. It allows us to see ourselves clearly, to recognize our flaws, and to work toward becoming better each day. It is in the quiet moments, the unseen acts of kindness, and the selfless gestures that true power lies. History has shown that those who lead with humility, those who act without seeking attention, are often the ones who leave the greatest impact. The Stoics knew this. They lived by it. Humility does not mean diminishing oneself or refusing to take pride in one's achievements. Rather, it means acknowledging that all success is fleeting, that knowledge is endless, and that every person has something to teach us. It is the acceptance that we are constantly evolving, that growth is a continuous process, and that no single moment of triumph defines us completely. A humble person walks through life with quiet confidence, understanding that their worth is not dictated by external recognition, but by their internal character. Those who move through life with humility and kindness find themselves unexpectedly rewarded, not because they seek it, but because this is the natural order of things. You may have seen this in your own life. The most generous, the most sincere people often attract kindness in return. The Stoics knew that energy is cyclical. What you give, you receive. The more you give to the world in sincerity, the more the world will return to you in ways you may never have anticipated. Even in difficult times, humility allows us to remain open, adaptable, and receptive to new opportunities that might otherwise go unnoticed. A person who lifts others up will never lack support. A person who listens rather than speaks will gain more wisdom than they ever imagined. A person who acknowledges their faults will grow faster than one who pretends to be without flaw. There is a reason that the most powerful leaders in history have often been those who spoke the least about their own greatness. They let their actions speak for them. They led by example, not by demand. It is often those who are most obsessed with their image, with their need for validation, who crumble under pressure because their sense of self is too fragile to withstand challenges. True humility, on the other hand, builds resilience. It creates an unshakable foundation that does not depend on the approval of others. The world recognizes humility in ways that are subtle but profound. It rewards those who act with kindness, those who embrace their role as students of life. It does not mean one must be passive or timid. It means moving through the world with a quiet assurance that true worth does not need to be proven. It simply is. Humility invites grace into our lives. It allows us to navigate adversity with dignity, to connect with others on a deeper level, and to see the beauty in every interaction, every lesson, every challenge. The more humble you are, the more you will find yourself in the presence of truth. And the more truth you embrace, the more at peace you will be. Humility is a guidepost to inner tranquility. It reminds us that we are always in the process of learning, that life itself is a teacher, and that our greatest wisdom often comes when we least expect it. Embrace the beginner's mindset. No matter how much you know, act as if you are always a student. Ask more questions than you answer. Approach life with curiosity, for knowledge is an ever-expanding ocean, and what we know today may be refined or even overturned by what we learn tomorrow. The greatest minds in history, from Socrates to Leonardo da Vinci, embraced the power of questioning. By seeking to understand rather than to prove oneself right, you cultivate wisdom and open yourself up to deeper insights. Challenge your assumptions, engage in discussions without the need to dominate them, and recognize that true intelligence lies in the ability to continuously evolve. The moment you believe you have all the answers is the moment you stop growing. So, embrace humility, nurture curiosity, and let every encounter be an opportunity to learn. Give without expectation. When you do something kind, do it for its own sake, not for recognition. The reward comes in ways you cannot predict. Sometimes it arrives in the form of an unexpected opportunity, a serendipitous encounter, or a moment of deep personal fulfillment. Other times, it manifests in the quiet knowing that you have contributed positively to the world. True kindness is given freely, without expectation, because the act itself is its own reward. It strengthens your character, enriches your soul, and builds a life of purpose. The Stoics believed that virtue is its own reward, that to do good is to align oneself with the natural order of the universe. So do not count the immediate returns of your kindness. Know that its echoes will return to you in ways you may never anticipate, in moments when you least expect, but most need them. Practice silence. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Learn to listen more than you speak. Silence is not weakness. It is a form of strength. It allows you to observe, to understand, and to respond with wisdom rather than impulse. In a world where noise dominates, where people rush to speak first and think later, mastering the art of silence sets you apart. When you listen more, you learn more. You gain insight into the motivations of others, the subtleties of situations, and the hidden truths that words often fail to express. The Stoics believed that speech should be measured and intentional. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Never allow yourself to be so tied to a thought that you would resent being corrected." This means embracing silence when necessary, knowing that your words carry weight. Every response does not require immediate action. Some situations resolve themselves when given time, and some conflicts dissipate when not fed by reaction. Consider the times when silence has worked in your favor. Perhaps in an argument where responding in anger would have escalated the situation, but your silence brought clarity. Perhaps in a negotiation where listening instead of interrupting revealed opportunities you would have otherwise missed. Practicing silence is not about avoidance. It is about understanding when words add value and when they do not. Learn to cultivate this wisdom. Listen to what is said and what is left unsaid. train yourself to be comfortable with pauses, with stillness, with moments of reflection. Speak when necessary, but let your words be chosen carefully, shaped by patience and understanding. In doing so, you will find that silence often speaks louder than words. Chapter 3. The role of patience and perseverance. Life will test you. The Stoics knew this well. They did not believe that being virtuous or humble meant a life without struggle. On the contrary, they knew that even the best people would encounter storms. But they also knew that if you persevere, if you trust in the journey and refuse to give up, you will always find yourself on the other side, stronger, wiser, and more at peace. Seneca, another great Stoic, said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Every hardship is an opportunity for growth. Every setback is a lesson in resilience. Those who trust in the process, who believe in themselves, who keep going no matter what, always find their way through the darkest nights." Challenges do not come to break us. They come to shape us. A fire that is tested by the wind either flickers and dies or grows stronger and more powerful. The same is true for us. The moments that seem unbearable, the difficulties that test our patience, are the very moments that refine our character and forge our strength. Faith is not about blind optimism. It is about knowing that even when things seem impossible, there is always a way forward. It is the belief that no matter how dark the night, dawn will come. The sun will always rise. The storm will always pass. And so long as you keep moving, so long as you refuse to give in to despair, you will emerge victorious. Faith is not passive. It is an act of strength, a decision to trust the process and continue forward, even when the path is unclear. It is knowing that setbacks are temporary, that hardship is a teacher, and that every challenge brings with it the opportunity to grow into something greater than before. Faith is also about patience. It does not demand immediate results or instant gratification. It is the understanding that life unfolds at its own pace, that progress sometimes comes in ways we do not expect. We may not always see the road ahead clearly, but faith assures us that each step we take brings us closer to where we are meant to be. The Stoics recognized that endurance is essential, not just in external struggles, but in internal battles as well. Faith allows us to hold steady in moments of doubt, to remind ourselves that even when things feel stagnant, growth is still happening beneath the surface. Just as a tree's roots expand before new branches emerge, our development often occurs long before we can visibly see its effects. If you find yourself struggling, remember this: every obstacle carries the seeds of opportunity. Every moment of difficulty is a chance to prove your resilience. The Stoics understood that we are never truly defeated unless we surrender to despair. So take one more step. Trust that even if you do not see the way now, it will reveal itself in time. The future holds more than we can currently perceive, and often the very trials we face today are preparing us for something far greater than we ever imagined. The struggles you endure today may be forging you into the person who will one day look back with gratitude, realizing that what seemed like setbacks were actually stepping stones. In time, what once felt unbearable will transform into the foundation of your strength, and the faith you held onto will have been the guiding force that carried you through. But faith is not simply waiting, it is acting. It is the unwavering belief that the effort you put in today will bear fruit, even if you do not yet see the results. Faith is continuing forward, even when the path is obscured by doubt. It is waking up every morning with the resolve to move ahead, to face whatever comes, and to trust that each day, even the difficult ones, is leading you towards something meaningful. If you have ever looked back on a past hardship and recognized how it shaped you, then you already understand this principle. That painful experience, the one you thought you'd never survive, turned out to be a defining moment. It strengthened you, taught you lessons, and made you into the person you are today. If that is true for your past, why should it not be true for your present struggles as well? The trials you are facing now are not roadblocks. They are part of the training that life provides, shaping you into the person who will one day stand firm in the face of even greater challenges. They are opportunities for refinement, tests of endurance, and moments that push you toward wisdom. The Stoics remind us that there is no such thing as an entirely negative experience, only events that we have yet to reframe. With time, all difficulties take on a different meaning. But why wait for time to change your perspective? Why not embrace that wisdom now? If you can choose to see your struggles as necessary, as part of a greater process, you will find that the burden becomes lighter. You will recognize that even hardship has its role, and that role is to make you stronger, more patient, more resilient, and ultimately, more prepared for what is ahead. So do not fear struggle. Do not run from difficulty. Do not let despair cloud your mind with thoughts of failure. Instead, welcome these moments as your greatest teachers. Step forward with faith, not because you see the future clearly, but because you trust that whatever it holds, you will be strong enough to meet it. Reframe challenges as opportunities. Instead of seeing obstacles as barriers, see them as training grounds for your mind. What is this teaching you? Daily affirmations of faith. Each morning, remind yourself, I trust in the process. I trust in myself. Everything will come in time. Take the next step. No matter how small, always keep moving forward. Progress, no matter how slow, is still progress. Chapter 4. The power of faith in shaping reality. If we accept that faith is not mere blind optimism, but an active trust in the unfolding of life, we must also acknowledge its power to shape our reality. The Stoics believed that our perceptions and beliefs dictate our experience of the world. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, wrote Marcus Aurelius. If we fill our minds with fear, doubt, and worry, we create a world of fear, doubt, and worry. If we instead cultivate faith, belief, and trust, we align ourselves with the natural rhythm of existence. Faith does not mean expecting life to unfold precisely as we wish. Instead, it is about understanding that we are always being guided, even in moments of uncertainty. Consider the many times in your life when you resisted change, only to later realize it was leading you to something better. What if, instead of resisting, we leaned into faith? What if we trusted that everything happening now, whether joyful or painful, was serving a purpose greater than we can see in the moment? The Stoics encourage us to practice this faith by focusing only on what we can control: our actions, our attitudes, and our perspective. Everything else, the opinions of others, external events, even the timing of our success, is beyond our influence. Faith, then, is a discipline. It is a choice to surrender what we cannot control and to move forward with clarity and purpose. Faith also teaches us patience. It reminds us that timing is not always in our hands. We may plant seeds today that will not bear fruit for years. Just as a tree does not rush to grow, we too must understand that everything arrives in its own time. The Stoics often spoke of nature's cycles, how the seasons change without resistance, how the tide ebbs and flows without force. Why should we then expect our lives to be any different? By trusting in the process, by having faith that what is meant for us will come when it is supposed to, we free ourselves from unnecessary worry and stress. Faith is not just belief in external outcomes, it is also belief in ourselves. It is the quiet confidence that no matter what happens, we will endure. The Stoics remind us that true power comes from within. Seneca wrote, "The mind that is anxious about the future is miserable." When we cultivate faith, we replace anxiety with trust. We acknowledge that while we may not know what tomorrow holds, we do know that we are strong enough to face it. When we integrate faith into our daily lives, we begin to see its transformative power. It is not about ignoring challenges, but about meeting them with the quiet assurance that we are capable of handling them. It is about knowing that even if we do not understand why something is happening now, one day we will look back and see its purpose clearly. So let us move through life with a deep and unwavering faith. Let us trust in the unseen forces at work, knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Let us remind ourselves daily that our fears are only as real as we make them, and that faith is the bridge that leads us from doubt to peace. In the end, faith is not just a belief, it is a way of living. Monitor your thoughts. When doubt creeps in, replace it with a more empowering thought. Instead of, "What if I fail?" ask, "What if this is exactly what I need to grow?" Detach from outcomes. Act with intention, but release the need for immediate results. Trust that what is meant for you will arrive at the right time. Create a daily mantra. Repeat affirmations that reinforce your faith in the process, such as, "Everything is unfolding for my highest good." Chapter 5. Embracing uncertainty. One of the greatest sources of anxiety in life is the unknown. We crave certainty, yet the future is always uncertain. The Stoics remind us that fighting against this reality only creates suffering. "Do not seek to have events happen as you want them to," said Epictetus, "but instead want them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go well." Uncertainty is not something to fear, but to embrace. It is the space in which growth occurs, where possibilities unfold, and where we discover strength we never knew we had. Consider a moment in your life when things did not go according to plan, yet led you to an unexpected opportunity. How often have you found that the very things you feared turned out to be necessary for your personal evolution? When we stop trying to force life into a rigid framework, we allow room for something even greater than we had imagined. Uncertainty is a teacher. It stretches us beyond our comfort zones, forcing us to adapt, to think creatively, and to develop resilience. If everything were predictable, if every outcome were known in advance, there would be no space for innovation or self-discovery. The most successful people in history were those who learned to navigate the unknown with courage and curiosity. They understood that within uncertainty lies the potential for greatness. The more we embrace uncertainty, the more we cultivate inner peace. Rather than resisting change, we learn to move with it. Rather than fearing the unknown, we welcome it as a gateway to transformation. Imagine standing before a vast ocean, uncertain of what lies beyond the horizon. You could let fear paralyze you, or you could set sail, trusting that the winds of life will guide you to where you need to be. Those who dare to step into the unknown often find that it is not as frightening as they imagined. In fact, it is where life's greatest adventures await. We must also remember that our perception of uncertainty shapes our experience of it. If we see it as a threat, we will feel overwhelmed. But if we view it as an opportunity, we open ourselves up to new possibilities. The Stoics encourage us to reframe our thinking. Instead of fearing what we cannot predict, we should embrace it as a chance to grow, to learn, and to become more adaptable. Life is a series of unfolding moments, and our ability to meet each one with openness determines the richness of our experience. The key is to trust in the process. The river does not resist its course. It flows effortlessly to the ocean. The seasons do not fight against change. They transition in perfect harmony. Why then should we struggle against the natural flow of our own lives? When we surrender to uncertainty with faith rather than fear, we allow life to work in our favor. We begin to see that often what we perceive as setbacks are actually stepping stones towards something greater than we could have planned ourselves. Practice acceptance. Remind yourself daily, I do not need to control everything. I am open to life's surprises. Let go of perfectionism. Uncertainty is where creativity and growth thrive. The more you release the need for control, the more opportunities appear. Engage in the present moment. Anxiety about the future often comes from neglecting the present. We allow our minds to drift into an imagined world of uncertainty, creating fears and scenarios that may never come to pass. The more we dwell on what might happen, the less we appreciate what is happening now. But the present is the only moment that is real. It is the only space where we have power, where we can take action, where life is truly unfolding. By bringing your attention back to now, you ground yourself in reality rather than speculation. Focus on the sensations around you, the rhythm of your breath, the feeling of your feet against the ground. Let yourself be absorbed in the moment, appreciating the simple joys that so often go unnoticed. Engage fully in what you are doing, whether it is a conversation, a task, or a moment of rest. This is where life is happening, right here, right now. The more you cultivate this awareness, the more peace you will find, and the less power future worries will hold over you. Chapter 6. The Stoic Mindset in Adversity. The Stoics never claimed that life would be easy. Instead, they prepared themselves to remain steady in the face of hardship. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Every challenge we face is an opportunity to refine our character, to become stronger, wiser, and more prepared for whatever lies ahead. The friction we encounter is not an obstacle, it is the very force that shapes us, just as a sculptor chisels away stone to reveal a masterpiece beneath. Adversity tests our faith, but it also strengthens it. When we endure difficulties with grace, we prove to ourselves that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way. The more we develop resilience, the less we are shaken by life's inevitable storms. Each challenge presents us with a choice, to crumble under its weight or to rise above it. The Stoics understood that hardship is not a punishment, but a teacher. It forces us to confront our fears, to adapt, and to cultivate a mind that is unshaken by external circumstances. True strength is not about avoiding pain, but about enduring it with dignity and wisdom. Imagine a tree that stands through the fiercest of storms. Its roots grow deeper with each gust of wind. Its trunk strengthens with each season. The tree does not resist the storm. It bends when necessary, yet remains firmly planted. In the same way, every hardship we endure fortifies us, preparing us for greater challenges ahead. This is not about ignoring pain or suppressing emotions, but about choosing to rise above despair, to meet challenges with a calm and steady spirit. We do not become stronger by living in comfort. We become stronger by facing difficulty head-on, knowing that we have the power to withstand and grow from it. It is easy to wish for an easy life, one without struggle or hardship. But an easy life does not create depth of character. It is through difficulty that we learn what we are truly capable of. When we are tested, we find hidden reserves of resilience. The Stoics understood that suffering is not to be feared, but to be faced with a strong heart and an unwavering mind. They did not seek suffering, but they embraced it when it came, knowing that it was the forge in which true strength is created. A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor, and a life without struggle never made a wise person. If we shift our mindset, we will begin to see that our struggles are not barriers. They are the stepping stones leading us to greater heights. They teach us patience, resilience, and the ability to navigate life with wisdom. The pain we feel today may be the wisdom we use tomorrow. The failures we endure today may be the victories we achieve in the future. Every time we survive a difficulty, we become more prepared for the next. we begin to see challenges not as curses, but as opportunities. Opportunities to develop, to refine ourselves, and to grow beyond our current limitations. And when we reach a place of peace and stability, we realize that it was the struggle itself that made that peace possible. A life without hardship would be a life without contrast, without appreciation. It is through darkness that we come to value the light. It is through suffering that we understand joy. Just as a sculptor chisels away at stone to reveal a masterpiece, adversity shapes us into who we are meant to become. Without difficulty, there is no growth. Without challenge, there is no transformation. Adversity is not the enemy. It is the silent architect of our strength. It is the test that reveals who we truly are. Those who rise above suffering develop a resilience that cannot be taken away. It is not the avoidance of struggle that defines greatness, but the ability to withstand it, to adapt, and to move forward with purpose. The greatest figures in history did not become great by avoiding difficulty. They became great by rising above it. Think of those who have left a lasting impact on the world. Their paths were rarely smooth, yet they endured. They understood that hardship is not something to fear, but something to harness. It is a fire that tempers steel, a forge that strengthens the soul, and a sculptor that chisels away the unnecessary to reveal the masterpiece beneath. True greatness is not found in avoiding adversity, but in learning to rise above it, to find meaning within it, and to emerge transformed. When we choose to embrace the journey rather than resist it, we step into our own power. We realize that suffering, though painful, is not purposeless. It teaches us patience when we are forced to wait, resilience when we are knocked down, and wisdom when we are compelled to reflect. Struggles test our character, but they also shape it, molding us into stronger, more capable versions of ourselves. The difference between those who crumble and those who thrive is not the absence of difficulty, but the ability to extract value from it. We transform pain into wisdom, struggle into perseverance, and setbacks into stepping stones. The greatest individuals in history, from philosophers to leaders, artists to innovators, were not spared hardship. Instead, they used it as fuel. They understood that failure is not the opposite of success, but a necessary part of the path toward it. Every moment of adversity, no matter how daunting, is a chance to become something greater than we were before. It is in these moments that we either forge ahead or retreat. The choice is ours, but those who keep moving forward, who refuse to surrender to despair, are the ones who ultimately triumph. Reframe challenges as lessons. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" Find strength in routine. When life feels chaotic, maintain small daily habits that keep you grounded, such as morning reflection or physical exercise. Engage in mindful breathing exercises to center your thoughts. Structure creates stability, and by incorporating rituals that bring you peace, whether it's meditation, stretching, or even a short walk outdoors, you cultivate a foundation of resilience. Consistency in these small habits will act as an anchor, allowing you to regain clarity even in turbulent times. The more you reinforce these practices, the more they will become a natural part of your routine, helping you navigate life's uncertainties with a sense of calm and focus. Trust in your own strength. Remind yourself of past hardships you have overcome. Reflect on the struggles that once seemed insurmountable, but that you eventually conquered. Think of the moments when you felt lost, uncertain, or overwhelmed, and yet you emerged stronger, wiser, and more prepared for what lay ahead. Life has tested you before, and you have endured. Your resilience is not theoretical. It has been proven time and time again. You are more resilient than you think. Every challenge you have faced has equipped you with knowledge, experience, and inner strength. Recognize how you have adapted, how you have found solutions even when none seemed apparent. Acknowledge that growth often happens in the background, in ways we do not always see in the moment. Just as a tree does not realize its roots are strengthening during a storm, we too are often unaware of how much we are growing through our struggles. It is easy to forget how many obstacles you have already overcome. The moments of despair that once felt insurmountable are now distant memories, proof that you have endured. Think of the times you doubted yourself, only to find a way forward. Recall the hardships that shaped you, the lessons that once felt painful but ultimately made you wiser. Life constantly tests us, but each time you have emerged stronger. You have already faced storms and found your way through them. Why should this time be any different? Use these past victories as evidence that you can overcome whatever lies ahead. Let them serve as reminders that even in moments of doubt, you possess an unshakable core of strength. Carry this knowledge with you and let it fuel your confidence in facing whatever comes next. Remind yourself that resilience is not about avoiding difficulty, but about knowing that you will rise no matter how many times you fall. Your past struggles have not broken you, they have built you, and with every challenge you face, you are becoming even stronger. Chapter 7. The Law of Giving and Receiving. The Stoics understood that what we put into the world, we receive in return. This is not a mystical idea, but a practical truth. When we give kindness, we invite kindness. When we act with integrity, we create trust. When we lift others up, we find ourselves uplifted. This cycle of giving and receiving is woven into the very fabric of existence. Life is not a static accumulation of resources, wealth, or status. It is an ongoing exchange of energy, influence, and goodwill. Humility and generosity are not about self-sacrifice, but about alignment with the natural flow of life. The more we hoard, the more we stagnate. The more we share, the more we grow. A river that ceases to flow becomes stagnant and lifeless, but a river that continues its course nourishes everything around it. This principle applies not just to material wealth, but to knowledge, time, and energy. Those who give freely find that they never truly lack. When we give without expecting anything in return, we create a world that is more open, more abundant, and more compassionate. The greatest teachers and leaders have always been those who gave freely of their wisdom and guidance, expecting nothing in return. The more we offer to others, the more we expand our own capacity for understanding and fulfillment. A person who shares knowledge deepens their own insights. A person who gives time to help others discovers a richer sense of purpose. Giving does not diminish us. It strengthens and enriches our lives. It fosters a sense of connection, reminding us that we are all part of something greater than ourselves. The Stoics understood that a meaningful life is not measured by what we take, but by what we give. Generosity is not about grand gestures. It is about consistent acts of kindness, about showing up for others, about recognizing that what we give comes back to us in ways we may not immediately recognize. Whether it is through material support, emotional encouragement, or a simple gesture of goodwill, every act of generosity strengthens the bonds of human connection. The smallest actions, a kind word, a thoughtful deed, a helping hand, can have ripple effects beyond what we can see. When we uplift others, we reinforce a cycle of goodwill that eventually finds its way back to us. The more selfless we are in our giving, the more deeply we align with the nature of human connection and fulfillment. Generosity also teaches us humility. It reminds us that we are not separate from others, but deeply interconnected. When we contribute to someone else's well-being, we cultivate a sense of shared humanity. In giving, we acknowledge that we too may one day need help, and that seeking assistance is not a sign of weakness, but of mutual reliance. The world operates best when people support one another, and the more we give, the stronger our communities become. Each act of generosity reminds us that we are part of something larger, that our impact extends far beyond our immediate circle. Even the smallest efforts contribute to something vast, something meaningful, something enduring. A truly generous spirit does not give only when it is convenient. It gives even in times of difficulty, understanding that generosity is an investment in the greater good. True generosity is an act of faith, faith that what we put into the world will return to us in some form. It does not mean self-sacrifice to the point of depletion, but rather an understanding that abundance is created through circulation. Just as nature thrives on balance, so too does the human spirit when generosity flows freely. The more we practice it, the more we reinforce an internal sense of purpose and fulfillment. In times of hardship, it is generosity that reminds us of our own strength, because even when we feel we have little to give, offering a moment of kindness, a word of encouragement, or a listening ear can transform both our lives and the lives of those around us. There is a quiet power in generosity that cannot be measured in tangible rewards. The greatest impacts often go unseen: the inspiration we spark in someone, the hope we restore, the example we set. These moments may not bring instant recognition, but they ripple through time, shaping lives in ways beyond our comprehension. A single act of kindness can ignite a chain reaction that spreads far beyond its original source, touching lives we may never even meet. In this way, generosity is more than an act. It is a legacy, an ongoing contribution to a better world, one choice at a time. By giving, we step into a cycle of reciprocity that elevates not just ourselves, but those around us, and in that, we find a life of true abundance. When we approach life with an open hand instead of a clenched fist, we make space for unexpected blessings to flow in. Generosity is not just an action, but an energy, a force that moves through us and out into the world, multiplying its effects far beyond what we can immediately see. This is the paradox of generosity. The more we give, the more we receive, not always in the way we expect, but always in the way we need. The act of giving transforms us. It rewires our minds to focus less on scarcity and more on abundance, shifting our perspective from fear of lack to faith in life's continuous flow. The universe does not operate on a system of strict transactions. Rather, it recognizes intention, sincerity, and goodwill. The more we trust in this process, the more we see how generosity enriches every aspect of our existence. Giving does not deplete us. It fills us with a sense of purpose and deepens our connection with others. When we extend a helping hand, whether through kindness, wisdom, or material support, we reinforce the idea that we are not alone in this journey. The impact of a single act of kindness is often far greater than we realize. A word of encouragement might inspire someone to keep going, a helping hand might restore someone's faith in humanity, and an act of selflessness might set off a chain reaction of positivity that extends far beyond our reach. The kindness we put forth today may come back to us in ways we could never predict, reinforcing the cyclical nature of goodwill and compassion. Just as a single drop in the ocean can create waves, a single act of generosity can transform lives in ways we may never witness, but can trust are unfolding. When we live with open hands and open hearts, we find that the more we share, the more we are given, not always in material form, but in fulfillment, connection, and an ever-deepening sense of purpose. The more we embrace this truth, the more we find that giving is not a sacrifice, but a privilege, a testament to the belief that kindness, once set in motion, never truly ends, but continues to circulate, growing and expanding in ways beyond our comprehension. Give without expectation. Whether it's your time, support, or resources, offer freely without needing immediate reciprocation. True generosity does not operate on an expectation of return, but rather on the understanding that giving itself is a reward. When we extend ourselves without attachment to outcomes, we cultivate a spirit of abundance rather than scarcity. Each act of generosity creates an invisible yet powerful ripple effect, influencing others in ways we may never witness directly. Practice gratitude. The more you appreciate what you have, the more abundance you attract into your life. Gratitude is not merely an emotion, but a lens through which we perceive the world. When we focus on what we lack, we reinforce scarcity. But when we shift our attention to what we already possess, we cultivate a mindset of abundance. Appreciation opens doors we didn't even realize were in front of us. It magnifies the beauty in our lives and invites more of what we cherish. The act of gratitude extends beyond a simple thank you. It is a way of living, a habit that continuously feeds our sense of fulfillment. By acknowledging the blessings, opportunities, and lessons in every moment, we create space for more to enter our lives. The more we recognize the richness already present, whether in our relationships, experiences, or personal growth, the more we attract prosperity in ways that go beyond material wealth. True abundance is not measured in possessions, but in peace, contentment, and the depth of our connections with others. As we make gratitude a daily practice, we transform our outlook, and life begins to reflect that transformation. A heart that is full sees opportunities where others see obstacles, finds lessons in setbacks, and recognizes joy even in the simplest moments. Gratitude does not merely change our perception, it changes our experience of life itself. It turns what we have into enough, what we see into something beautiful, and what we endure into something meaningful. When we cultivate gratitude, we train our minds to seek out the good in every situation. Instead of dwelling on what is missing, we shift our focus to what is already present. This practice rewires our thinking, allowing us to approach life with a sense of abundance rather than scarcity. As our appreciation grows, so does our capacity for joy. We begin to notice the small blessings we once took for granted, the warmth of the sun on our skin, the laughter of a loved one, the quiet moments of peace that often go unnoticed. Gratitude also strengthens resilience. When faced with adversity, a grateful heart does not collapse under the weight of hardship, but instead searches for meaning and growth within the struggle. It finds strength in lessons learned, in past victories, and in the belief that even challenges serve a greater purpose. The more we appreciate, the more we receive, not because the world changes, but because we do. We become more attuned to life's gifts, more open to possibilities, and more capable of embracing each moment with a deep and abiding sense of contentment. Mentor or teach. Share what you've learned with others. Teaching reinforces your own wisdom and creates a ripple effect of positivity. Every time you pass on knowledge, you not only help others grow, but you deepen your own understanding as well. Teaching requires reflection, articulation, and engagement, all of which solidify your grasp of the material. In the process, you may even discover new perspectives and insights you hadn't considered before. Knowledge, like energy, is meant to flow. It does not diminish when given away. Instead, it multiplies, enriching both the giver and the receiver. The impact of teaching is immeasurable, as the insights we offer can spark curiosity, challenge outdated beliefs, and inspire action. When we elevate others, we elevate ourselves. Teaching solidifies our own understanding. As we articulate ideas, we clarify them in our own minds. reinforcing our grasp of the subject matter. It challenges us to view concepts from multiple perspectives, strengthening our ability to communicate complex ideas effectively. The best teachers are lifelong learners, continuously refining their wisdom through the very act of teaching. In sharing knowledge, we also cultivate patience, empathy, and a greater appreciation for the diversity of thought. No two individuals learn in exactly the same way, and recognizing this helps us develop a more flexible and understanding mindset. By engaging with others in a spirit of curiosity and mutual respect, we deepen our own wisdom while fostering an environment where learning thrives. Teaching and sharing knowledge not only benefit the recipient, but also reinforce the educator's grasp of a subject, as explaining concepts to others forces us to refine our own understanding and articulate ideas more clearly. Everything will come. Relax. Have faith. The Stoics teach us that life is always in motion, always unfolding in ways that serve our highest growth. The key is to trust in this process, to meet each moment with faith rather than fear, to surrender control over what cannot be changed, and to take meaningful action where we can. When we move through life with this mindset, we find that even the greatest challenges are opportunities in disguise. So let go of doubt. Release the need to force outcomes. Walk forward with a heart full of trust, knowing that whatever is meant for you will arrive in its perfect time. The universe does not operate on our schedule, but it is always working in our favor. Faith is a choice. Choose it daily. Everything will come.